Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the SFL Today. Breaking down all the action you may have missed from an exciting Week 5. Along with Stephen Mullinex and Andy Hamilton, I'm Cameron Irvine, and welcome to tonight's program. Houston and Vancouver will kick off eventually from the Hyena Den. Winner moves into third place in the Western Conference. Houston trying to stay there, and Vancouver trying to get there. Let me know how I'm sounding in relation to the music. And we're rocking and rolling here on the SFL Today. Steven, how you doing?
Hey, doing fine. Cam, how are you doing?
I'm great, man. Good to have you here on the program. And alongside you is Andy Hamilton. Andy, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
Awesome. Awesome to hear, guys. Well, it was another exciting week of SFL action. Let's get to it quickly. Well, each of our analysts will just take a game, give their thoughts on it, and we'll get out to Houston as soon as possible. I know we're on a delay, so we're not going to keep you too much longer. First, we'll start with a game that we just witnessed here tonight, and I'll let Andy give his thoughts on that. The San Antonio Vaqueros take care of St. Louis 26-7. St. Louis had a hard time moving the ball, and San Antonio had excellent field position. Andy, what did you think as San Antonio moves above 500 and St. Louis gets closer to 500?
Yeah, Vaqueros hop back on the schneid. I love the way that the Vaqueros played tonight's game. They got a lot out of the running production, which was, something that going into the game, Jimmy and I talked about, was missing from San Antonio. They kind of went back to that a little bit more. 100 yards on the ground is great for them. Not great on the third down conversions, but they didn't need it. 15 first downs is plenty when you're going to get 386 yards. San Antonio does what they need to do. They are looking strong heading into next week. St. Louis, on the other hand, got some of those passing yards in garbage time. They were starting a new quarterback, trying to work him into the system. I think the tail of the tape is not exactly the score here. St. Louis kind of got screwed on an earlier play that was ruled a fumble, but could have been an incompletion. I think the Gladiators can bounce back from this. They just got to keep working at it.
37 viewers. We're going to get that up throughout the night, hopefully with some awesome football. Saturday night, at the end of the third quarter, Tallahassee was only beating London 14-6. And then the Pride happened, erupting in the fourth quarter to cruise 42-13. Tallahassee remains undefeated at 5-0. Steven, you're familiar with Frank and the Pride, but this is a whole nother different team. They almost ran for 100 yards in this game, too.
Yeah, you got to like the effort that London put in. I mean, this is Tallahassee's the hottest team in the league right now. And like you said, the London Knights shut them down pretty well in the first half. The Pride really didn't take their monster lead there until the second half. So, I think it was a good outing. It's a normal outing for Tallahassee. They've been doing this to everybody they've been facing this year. But for London, you got to feel pleased, at least in part by the effort that you put in. This London team has a great defense. They just ran into a juggernaut.
So Tallahassee goes 5-0. London falls to 3-2. A team on the rise. First, let's start with the Oklahoma City Renegades. The Renegades have won 2 games in a row, 37-27. They beat Sioux Falls and scored in every quarter. We put the runs and passes up there for you to just show how Oklahoma City had balance. 27 runs, 28 passes. They won the game by 10 and had 10 points off turnovers. Andy, typically this team starts fast and falls off, but the Renegades are flipping the script here in Season 10.
Yeah, you love it because I was getting worried. The Renegades usually, like you said, start hot 7-1 in their first week. They kind of fell off that train here, losing a couple early. Hopping back on it, this is a big win for the Renegades, beating the Sparrows, especially in the fashion that they did in a really gritty game. Over 400 yards of offense for both teams. Good to see the Renegades get back to the run game, able to get 114 yards on 27 carries. And Deacon Nickens, gets it done off 28 throws alone, going for 313 yards. Hey, good stuff out of the Renegades. I want to see him keep doing it. And Sioux Falls will bounce back. I know Jason. They'll be all right.
Another team on the rise, maybe the Chicago Wildcats. They beat Indianapolis 20-6. It's no secret. The defensive coordinator from Indianapolis has been let go. Now no longer in the team channel. He's a free agent, but according to rules approved earlier this season, he cannot coach for another team here in season 10. But for Chicago, they're going the opposite direction. They finally get off the schneid. The defense is playing awesome. Chicago does just enough to get the win. E.T. King, not a top performer this week, but was 30 for 37 for 213 yards, 1 touchdown, and no picks. So he had his best game of the season. Steven, what do you think about Chicago going into Indy and winning by 2 touchdowns?
Well, I'm happy for Shan and his group there. I mean, this is a solid win for them, really good win for them, especially this season. I know they've been struggling. In Indianapolis, I think it's just a bump in the road for them. I don't know the specifics, the details about their firing of the defensive coordinator, but for me, the defense, has been relatively good, and I thought they've had a pretty good go of it here in their first season. So I'm surprised by that move, but this game in particular, just happy for Chicago. Maybe they can get back on that championship run again.
Teams that are hurting, the Carolina Skyhawks missed a couple of field goals. They were not the only team that struggled or had special teams woes this week. They fought home 16-3, just 203 yards of total offense. Didn't even reach the red zone. Dominated in time of possession or marginally dominated. But Atlanta, very balanced attack. And Atlanta, who's had a really tough schedule playing both Alaska and Tallahassee in the first 4 weeks, squeak out a 16-3 win to improve to 2-3. Andy, your thoughts on the final and what these two teams did this week?
Yeah, congratulations to Atlanta on getting a win over 350 yards. That's the way you want to do it, especially when you can go over 200 on the ground. That's pretty impressive. Red zone numbers need to come up if you're Atlanta, especially when you're looking to play, tougher teams down the line. Carolina, as a team as a whole, has struggled to this point. They're a lot better, I think, than their numbers say. But, you want to be able to convert in the red zone no matter who you're playing. So to go 3 field goals alone, no touchdowns is rough. For Carolina, you got to get in the red zone at some point. That would probably be helpful. I know they want more out of the rushing game. I know James Cline, he loves to run the ball. So 78 yards is not enough. James Cline's got to find a balance between that run and that pass and kind of disguise what they're doing a little bit more, because from the numbers that I'm seeing, it looks like Atlanta just out-game planned Carolina. But I think the Skyhawks will be able to bounce back. They've shown quite a bit this season that's impressed me.
Teams on the rise and fall here. Alaska wins 30-17, but Dallas kept this close big time. If they would have just scored in the red zone, this game could have been a completely different game. Both teams were passing heavy in this game, surprising maybe more so out of Dallas than Alaska. We'll get Steven's thoughts on that in a moment, but Alaska, who built a big lead, holds on against the Roughnecks, who are in rebuilding mode and still trying to make something of this season, still have an outside shot at doing so. Steven, your thoughts and impressions from how your squad handled the second half, and what do you think about Alaska? Are they the best team in the league, or does that belong to Tallahassee or Tulsa?
I think Alaska is the best team that we've faced so far this season. But they just they know what they are. They know who they are. They know their identity, and just do it well. They're a passing team who does get their non-contract running back involved through swing passes and things like that. And he can make the occasional run down the middle, but for the most part, this is a passing team, and they were very impressive. Their wide receivers, they are aggressive and they go after the ball, and they were up 23-0 on Dallas in the first half. Dallas's our offense just couldn't get anything going in the first half at all, and if we had looked more like we did in the second half, it would have been a closer ball game, but. Make no mistake that Alaska started to run the clock a little bit, having such a good lead, and that's one of the reasons why it's so close. But for Dallas, a lot of positive things that we can draw. We had a lot of rookies. I think we fielded 6 rookies in the last 2 weeks, so we've got young players, and we're seeing signs of positivity. We're just not quite there yet.
I hate to do this to all the Sharks fans, but I have to put this stat up on the screen. Fake field goals, Tulsa 0,
Oh,
San Francisco 1, as the Sharks lose a heartbreaker when a special teams coordinator, I'm told, went rogue. Like the guy that was in a high-speed police chase today in south of Dallas and got out of his car and didn't end well. That was live on Facebook. That was fun. Thanks to Fox News. Yeah, San Francisco falls to Tulsa 19-17. The Desperados, the cardiac Desperados, still getting it done. And San Francisco, 3 red zone trips and only 1 score. And if you add it up, Tulsa got 9 points in the red zone. San Francisco got 7, and the Sharks lost by 2. Andy, I'm sure you've lost some heartbreakers in your day. That's pretty tough to lose on a fake field goal, and then they threw a pick to end the game on the final possession.
Yeah, I think it's tough to lose a game like that. It's also very tough when you're playing a team like Tulsa that now is going to be 5-0. You kind of look back on it, and what can you do? They're going to improve to 5-0, and you're going to fall. When you're looking for, I believe, still the second win for the Sharks, that would have been big to be able to knock off Tulsa. And a lot of people would have been talking about San Francisco in a different light. Despite that, they played a really good game. When you look at what they've kind of started to do in the run game, 92 yards is nothing to shake a tail at. 264 yards in the passing game is a little bit more what we would want out of San Francisco with the build that they have. Tulsa, man, just keeps finding ways to get it done. That's all I can say. I'm as much as Tulsa's doing great. I'm not the biggest fan, but they're getting it done, and that's really what it comes down to. They're getting the wins, and other people are getting the losses.
Sharks had 5 turnovers. Those were big in that game. Final game of week 5 to break down before we head out to Houston, where the Legion will be trying to get the upset over Houston tonight. The Mexico City Aztecs, in a rematch of the Twitch front page game, goes to Queen City. The Corsairs missed 2 field goals in the snow, including our second missed field goal this season off the top of the upright. Hit the right upright, and Queen City missed 2 field goals in the fourth quarter. Could have won that game. Instead, fall 2 games behind Tallahassee, and the defending champs get a big win on the road. Average field position was almost the 40-yard line in this game, so Matt Wilson and company didn't have to do much. Queen City was setting them up pretty good in field position. The Aztecs go to New York, get a win in the snow. Steven, you impressed, or are they still struggling a little bit more than you'd like to see?
No, absolutely impressed. I mean, this could be a season-changing win for the Aztecs. Weather obviously was a big factor in this game, but they came out and did what they had to do, and that's not something they've been doing so far this season. We haven't really seen, the Aztecs of last season. They just kind of had an off year. So, this could, like Andy mentioned, could get them off the schneid too, and a good and against a good, maybe one of the best teams in the league, Queen City, to go in and get this win. Like I said, it could be season changing for them.
Kent Gossett, 11 receptions, 226 yards, 2 touchdowns. BDG Hollywood, 26 carries, 199 yards, and a touchdown. They did not make our top performers list this week because they've been featured on this program quite a bit. So we want to give them a shout-out before we go over our heroes for Week 5. Houston, Vancouver coming up next at halftime. Don't go anywhere. Even if you're not fans of these teams, you're not going to want to miss this announcement. Who gets the front page game next week? Monday, February 12th, 7 Central, 8 Eastern. We'll be announcing that and detailing the matchup at halftime in Houston. But just before that, our Week 5 top performers, Oklahoma City quarterback Deacon Nickens, 21 of 28, 313 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no picks. Gossett, hey, look at that. He actually did make the list. 11 receptions, 226 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Gets a double shout-out. Alex Dominguez, 6 tackles, all of them for loss, and 5 sacks. He now leads the league in sacks, despite Tallahassee's ability to fill that leaderboard. Hey, shout out to Chicago's Maurice Spurgeon. He had his first pick 6 of his career, 5 seasons in the SFL. That was huge in Chicago's 20-6 victory. And Troy LaShaw, 13 total tackles, 3 passes defended, had a pick, had 264 kickoff return yards, had a kickoff return touchdown. Steven, who was your hero from week 5?
Yeah, I mean, the easy choice for me would be Sadlo Shaw because he was on my team. But honestly, Dominguez, Big Sexy, just destroyed our offensive line. Just at times just took over the game. It was ridiculous what he was able to do, and it made our rookie quarterback in his very first game really shaky. So I'm going to give it to Big Sexy.
And nice plug from Mighty RX for his guy, also leading in tackle for loss is Dominguez. Andy, who was your hero from week 5?
Cam, the Lord asked and Deacon Nickend answered. 21 of 28 is a great completion percentage, over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. There was an old guy who used to play in Oklahoma City called Joseph Redfeather. I'm starting to forget who that is with this old Mr. Nickens coming in and leading the way for the Renegades over the Sparrows in a huge win. The Lord says yes, Cam. The Lord says yes.
Amen.
An awesome way to end the SFL today for week 5. Coming up next, Vancouver and Houston from the Hyenas Den in the scary Houston as the Hyenas go for their 3rd win in a row. It's next on the SFL Network on Twitch, presented by APM Music.